What up, y'all? Little car talk action. Chest day, Monday, 9 p.m. Pretty late workout. I'm not used to this. I maybe do this like once or twice a week, but I can't do this on the weekends because Planet Fitness, the best gym in the world, doesn't stay open 24 hours on the weekend. Does this light help at all? Not really. Does this light help at all? Oh, a little bit. Okay. So I didn't really have any plans to talk about anything for this car talk, to tell you the truth. I kind of just hit record. But I was streaming earlier and I was like kind of floating some ideas out. So we're gonna talk about cutting real quick. A little bit of cut action, okay? And I'm not talking about, any type of cutting that you don't want to hear about. I'm talking about dropping weight while maintaining muscle. So you want to drop that body fat down to as low as you can in a certain period of time. That's what cutting is. And you want to do it healthy and sustainably so you don't injure yourself or get yourself into bad habits, because when you're bulking and cutting, if you're not careful, you can mess with your mental health and also your physical health, and you could possibly give yourself like a minor eating disorder, or start yourself off on that path if you're not careful. So cutting from the basics from the start, you're gonna have to eat less. If you eat 2,000 calories a day, you're gonna have to tone that down to 1,700, 1,500. I wouldn't do 1,000 calories a day. That's a really, really low amount. Keep it somewhere around 2, a little lower than 2,000, depending on the person. I mean, if you're already eating 3,000 calories a day, you got to drop that down a lot. Like if you go from a bulk right into a cut, no buffer period in between, that can be kind of odd, and your body might not like that. So a couple tips for cutting. You want to cut down that sugar intake a lot, because sugar is pretty much poison in the way we consume it, unless you're getting your sugar from natural, semi-organic, just non-processed. If you can cut out the processed sugar and processed food entirely, you should be doing that anyways, regardless on if you're on a cut or a bulk. But if you're already cutting, you might as well cut out the junk that is literally poison. And I probably sound like a broken record with the processed food talk and all that, but it is so bad for you. So yeah, you want to keep your protein intake high, obviously, regardless if you're bulking or cutting. But since you are cutting, you might want to, I'm going to pull through here. Sorry, I'm getting my car parked right now. All right, since you're cutting, you might want to actually train less, in my opinion, because your body, we're at the gym, but I got a couple minutes to spare before I can go inside, or before I need to go inside. I would train a little bit less when you cut. Maybe up your cardio, but weight training, you are going to be weaker. You're not going to have as many calories to expunge. You're not going to have as much energy. You're not going to have a ton of carbohydrates in your diet that can really propel you to work out for as long as you would be able to on a bulk or when you're main gaining. I know that's a term that we have introduced into the fitness stratosphere. So main gaining is just maintaining your current physique and maintaining your, build and muscle. But you're still trying to build, muscle and lose fat, but you're doing it kind of as a maintenance period. You're not trying to put on a ton of weight super fast. So yeah, up to cardio, maybe train weights a little bit less intense. Drink a ton of water. You're gonna need to stay hydrated like crazy when you're cutting. Maximize the potassium intake. I would probably recommend to do still a lot of compound lifts. That's always going to be a good idea to keep in your workout routine. Maybe, change your protein sources up a little bit. Try to eat something a little leaner. Like if you eat, 80-20 beef, so 80% beef, 20% fat, you could go down to 90-10 or even 95 5, so like 5 to 10% fat in your stuff. Yeah, you definitely, that's actually a huge point that I need to go over. You want to get your fat intake down, especially processed fats, unhealthy fats, seed oils. Those are bad. Those are all bad. You want to be getting that olive oil, you know, maybe grass-fed butter, clarified butter. Animal fats are really good for you. You know, instead of a whey protein every day, you could literally just eat like a homemade turkey sandwich or a homemade burger with some lean, you know, keep it lean for the beef. And then obviously you want to add like vegetables to your sandwiches and stuff. Try to increase your vegetable intake regardless if you're cutting or bulking, but we're trying to focus on cutting. And a little hack, like when you're bulking, you don't really care as much about sugar or calories or carbs. You're like, just give it to me. I don't care. I'm gonna work out for 2 hours and burn it all off. I don't work out for 2 hours. That's maybe a lie. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Depends on the day. Now, cutting out that sugar and fat, cutting out those calories, that is actually a lot easier than most people think. So, you know, when you open the fridge and you see everything in there, you know, I'm talking mayonnaise, ketchup, beef, turkey, yogurt. I'm just naming stuff in my fridge. Fruit. Anything that you can get that is lower in calories, like the lower calorie version or the zero sugar version or whatever, the light, the diet, the zero, you need to do that when you're cutting. I recommend doing that whenever, like just in general, just to be a little healthier. But, you know, get the 0 calorie soda instead of just a classic Coca-Cola. Get Powerade Zero instead of a sugar-filled Powerade, which, you know, you need those carbs, but you want to make sure that you're getting them from a good source. Like, I'd much rather you eat some rice, just literally just plain rice, instead of drinking, you know, a Powerade before you go work out or after. You really just want to dial in on making sure that your calorie sources and where you're getting your nutrients from is good quality food. And, you know, obviously train intense, train as hard as you can on your cut. I said earlier, you know, dial it back a little bit compared to if you're bulking, but you still want to train hard. Maybe just go a little harder in your cardio because you're really trying to lean out. You're trying to get them hollow cheeks, trying to get them shreds. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry it's like dark and the lighting's all messed up and we have a light source up here. Make sure to follow the Twitch, TikTok, subscribe to the YouTube, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.